Ladies, gentlemen, and everyone between and beyond, welcome. This story is not mine, so let me introduce you to a friend.
Hello, my name is Andrew Logan.
In 1970, young artist Andrew was drawn to the bright lights of London, where he found lodging in a hat shop.
I was living illegally in a cupboard at the back. I remember just sitting there and crying because I thought, oh dear, this is what the world's about, living in a cupboard.
But the metropolis lured him beyond the cupboard door.
The city seemed very small, but very cosy in a funny kind of way. The art scene, the trend is they'd all gone to New York to be with Andy in the factory. So London was kind of not exactly abandoned, but it was, I mean, there were 3 clubs or something. I mean, it was, so you could invent lots of things. And that's what we all did.
One summer day, Andrew and some fellow artist friends were hanging out on the banks of the Serpentine, chatting.
I do think chatting is very important.
And like most chats, this one jumped from one topic to another till it landed on the idea of a themed party.
At the time, Miss World was extremely important. Every household in the country was watching the Miss World. And I just thought it needed to be loosened up a bit, so that's what we did. I'd just been to Cruft's dog show.
It's the classiest contest in the canine calendar. Everyone is...
And I had a very nice judging form.
Blending Miss World's categories of day wear, swimwear, and evening wear with Cruft's judging criteria of
poise, personality, and originality. The basis is not beauty.
On March 25th, 1972, the first alternative Miss World graced the catwalk.
It was held in my studio in a jigsaw factory in Hackney, and we had judges, and friends came along. The stage was made from fruit boxes and vegetable boxes and things. I had no money. It was all just made from nothing. I had recently been to a jumble sale and had discovered this half male, half woman costume, which my parents remembered from the music hall, where you'd come on one side as the man, then you'd go off stage and come back the other way as the lady. But I just went split right down the middle.
The event was a success.
It was the night of nights.
Miss Yorkshire was crowned, but it was the alternative Miss World that was truly anointed.
So I said, well, I'll do another one.
And so, a countercultural tradition was cemented.
1973. The place was absolutely packed, and people were climbing in the windows to get in. 1975. There'd been a blackout. Someone tripped over a wire, and the whole place went into darkness. I think they were giving blowjobs on the security men on the staircase, because it was 6 floors up, you see.
In 1978, the alternative Miss World was held publicly for the first time. Tickets were sold and a theme was selected.
Well, the theme obviously was circus, because it was in a circus tent, so there was no question of it being a theme. The theme was there.
They rented Clapham Common for £200. That can't be right.
I came as the circus master and the bareback rider. And the judges were in a lion cage. Divine was the guest of honor. And he came on, and somehow the timing got wrong, so Divine came out to silence, which was brilliant. And then he started to smother his body, well, only Divine could, and the audience just went wild. There's moments like that one never forgets.
And your hostess, Andrew Logan.
Also joining their circus was documentarian Richard Gere, who was making a film about their countercultural phenomenon.
I remember all the cameramen were all dressed up in kind of wartime outfits, sort of fighter pilots.
The film was to debut at the 1980 Cannes Film Festival.
We all went. Divine came over from America, and Divine always gave me the tip. He said, look, when you go to a premiere, you do the flashing and the lights, and you go up the red carpet, and then when you get in the cinema, you just snip out the side entrance and go home. That's what we did. So We had such fun.
Coming back to London on a high, glowing reviews and a distribution deal in tow, the filmmakers planned their UK premiere for the same night as the Miss World televised event. Miss World was owned by this guy.
Come on, say the thing. Look at her. Come on, wake up.
Eric Morley. And he had different plans.
I should tell you that any use you make of the title Miss World, which is our registered business name, will result in litigation.
I was definitely bemused. I couldn't quite understand what all the fuss was about.
Ever the positively spirited, the filmmakers replied with an invitation.
We would like to invite you and Mrs. Morley to a private screening of the film, to entertain you and to set your minds at rest regarding what must appear from a distance to be a rival.
But Eric didn't fancy a trip to the cinema and decided to press on with litigation. Step right up to the courtroom of Judge Vinelot.
I do not find this an easy case. The plaintiff, Miss World Limited, is said to be the most famous beauty contest in the world. The reputation of this well-known competition has always been
Blah, blah, blah,
as
blah.
family entertainment.
Miss World, a respectable. Alternative Miss World, apparently not. Miss World hired the most brilliant barristers money could buy. The filmmakers hired a team they could afford, one of whom was a young Anthony Blair. Yeah, that one. He didn't utter a word the whole trial.
I do remember him for his teeth. Wonderful teeth. Great big smile. That's before he was obviously Prime Minister. And he'd always said,
I would love to be a judge for your alternative Miss World.
well, he never was. I mean, things stepped in.
One of the arguments Team Miss World made played to the prejudices of the time by citing a case in which a fancy members club successfully sued an escort service with the same name, thus painting the picture that the alternative Miss World was akin to sex work in the mind of the judge. Guilty by association.
Injunction granted.
The filmmakers can go ahead with their premiere, but they cannot use the words Miss World in the title of their already sold film.
And the bus arrived and it had the alternative. And then Miss World had been crossed off.
Appealing the verdict, they return to court. This time, Vinelot finds in the filmmaker's favour, acknowledging the word alternative has taken on new meaning in recent years, and thus the public will understand. It's a parody. But Miss World were not going to agree to that, so they appealed the appeal. And now for the grand finale. Sitting in front of the ringmaster, the head of Royal Court of Appeals, and Margaret Thatcher's favourite judge, Lord Denning. Into the court walks Andrew, clad in military regalia, adorned in handmade medals, including a holographic eye brooch that winks at the judge, who can't help but smile.
The film Miss Alternative World is quite different from the real Miss World. It has been given an X certificate. That is because some of it could be thought to have a sadomasochistic overtone. This is a description of its content as given by a reviewer from the Financial Times.
The alternative Miss World, in which contestants of all shapes, sizes and sexes, clad in outre dress or undress, trod the dais under such names as Miscarriage and Miss Windscale Nuclear Reactor. The appalling apparel ranges from alien chic to leather beachwear, and the oversized cherry on the camp cake is America's drag supremo, Divine, lording it over the evening with woozy and wobbly charisma.
I do not know how to put that description into English. At all events, it is not a film showing beautiful girls, but a film of the grotesque. What I have to consider is whether there is a real, sensible risk of confusion in the mind of members of the community. For myself, I see no trace of any such confusion.
At the time, it was reported by the press that Lord Denning had decreed the whole matter to be
Too disgusting to be confused. Appeal dismissed with costs.
Yay, we won! But did we? Sadly, despite the victory for the filmmakers, it was curtain call for the film, as the whiff of scandal spooked the distributors. But Andrew found a silver lining.
Well, we got publicity from it. For a while, we were quite well known.
The alternative Miss World is still going strong now, over 50 years since that first party. A far cry from the fruit boxes of yore, it now catwalks across some of the country's most famous stages.
Alternative Miss World is about transformation. This can mean anything. Male to female, of course, or female to male, or anything. We had someone came as after 8 boxes of chocolates. The world is about transformation, you know. They say the only constant is change, which is very true. If something happens in your life and you say, oh no, it's a mistake, it's not. It just means step aside and just go in that different direction. You'll be fine. Perhaps the biggest misconception, I think, of my work is that it's rather light and frivolous, which it is. It can look on the outside very glittery and wonderful, but actually it can be very, very deep, the message. The message is joy, but it's very serious. It's the simplest thing, but the hardest to achieve. People just to say a hint of how they can celebrate their lives. They don't have to do alternative Miss Worlds. It can be done many other ways. My whole concept of the event is that I'm carry on till the end of my life. So I might be carried on, you know, on a stretcher, saying, hello, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Who knows?